Hello and welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour, where we teach spirits to be happy. We're happy during the spiritual hour.
We serve spirits.
We serve spirits. We're good for the soul. That's what it is. And today we want to thank the master, Randy Luna, for playing us in and playing us out. And later on, there will be a beautiful piece of music that he will channel based upon the message that Marilyn has so eloquently prepared for you. And we also want to thank Carl Phonologist Fink, who's back there on the camera making this all possible so that we can be with you here today. So, welcome to Spiritual Happy Hour. Marilyn.
Yes.
You going to talk about something inspired by A Course in Miracles or inspired by Adironda, or did it just come out of your own head?
It's inspired by A Course in Miracles. It is directed by Adironda. And it came out of my own fingers because I did a lot of research.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You see,
You channeled Google.
I channeled Google. I've been doing a lot of research because we've got the new Channelers Academy modules.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, and so I've been doing all kinds of research about your intuition and your brain and how all that works together with your channeling software. And so I thought it was so interesting, all that research that I was doing, that I thought I ought to share it with our Spiritual Happy Hour audience.
I think that's awesome.
I do too.
So you get a bonus because if you're not in Channelers Academy,
bonus. I've found fascinating research that has changed drastically over the years, and it's a real strong connection between your intuition and that old saying, your gut reaction.
something tells me that triggers you a little bit.
Just a little bit. You see, I had to get over getting punished for when I said gut as a child. I know it's a part of the body, but I was not allowed to say gut as a child. I can still hear my mother saying stomach, stomach, stomach every time one of us said gut, or even a doctor said gut. I don't know what happened to her to make her so adamant about the word gut, but she certainly was. Anyway, there is a definite intuitive connection between your brain, your heart, and, pardon the expression, Mother, your gut. Your intuition is one of your innate abilities, right? It's inborn in you. You have it as a baby, and you have it as an adult. However, sometimes I think we disconnect that source of our intuition. According to my research, which was fascinating because it actually changed, your gut or your intuitive responses are still working well and will continue. You cannot stop them. However, you can ignore them. So now is the time to really stop ignoring them. It's time to plug into your, what I would call your internal GPS. It's time, as they say, to trust your gut. I know, I must let that go. It's stomach, PS, SPS, it's not the same. GPS is the same. Stomach, stomach, stomach. Gut, gut, gut. I can feel my mother. That is what got me started really on this whole program, is when I asked what your gut feeling really is and what it means and how that's connected to your intuition. I mean, I teach people about intuition, so I really have researched quite a bit about it. However, it would help if I stayed very current on this research, because I've discovered that in the last 3 years, maybe 4 years, a lot of the research has changed. I blame COVID for that because scientists didn't know what they needed to do, so they just started researching unusual things, including your intuition. A great deal of research has been done in the past, and that shows how our inner advice or our inner information has changed where it starts in the body. I know, it's so amazing. I always teach people to start connecting it with their intuition through their own awareness. You become aware of what it feels like in your physical body when you have an intuitive thought, and it makes it easier to trust that and to repeat that. You may wonder what research scientists could do to prove what happens in the human body when you have an intuitive thought. I don't know what all the tests were. That was over my head. But this is what happens. Is it truly a physical thing? That's a big question. Or is it a mental thing? Does it happen in the brain? Does it happen in the heart? Or does it happen somewhere else in the body? And if so, where does the phrase gut reaction come from? So now, you see why I had to get over saying the word gut, because that's where it comes from. In my research, I discovered that there is actually an electrical reaction when the human body has an intuitive thought or response. I mean, can you believe it? The body, I know, is an electrical system, so it makes sense. The human body is a really good conductor of electricity. Under the influence of alternating currents, AC, the electric charges inside the body move back and forth in the same frequency as the field, which is about 60 hertz. In other words, the field actually produces weak electric currents. It is the response of the weak electric currents inside of the body. The heart's energy is said to reach maybe 3 to 5 feet in an electric current outside of the physical body. That can actually be detected in a person sitting nearby that's having an electrocardiogram, an ECG. Studies actually show that the energy put out from the human heart can actually raise the temperature of a container of water by a degree or two, and the container of water only has to be within 3 to 5 feet of that human heart. Wild, isn't it? I mean, I know this is really scientific and has a lot of facts and figures in it, but it just boggles. I can't even say it. It boggles my mind. The basic concept is vibrational frequency as a spiritual phenomenon. What that means is that our body is made up of molecules, right? Which are vibrating constantly, creating electromagnetic energy waves, right? I mean, we all learned that in elementary school. Our thoughts and feelings all have frequencies, just like light and sound, radio waves, or ultraviolet rays. A thought vibrates through the mind, whether we're aware of it or not. Our thinking, then, manifests into reality. That has been in the past, but now research shows it a little differently. Neurons release brain chemicals known as neurotransmitters, which generate these electrical signals in neighboring neurons. The electrical signals propagate like a wave of thousands of neurons, which lead to formation. One theory explains that thoughts are generated when neurons fire. Now think about that. Thoughts are generated when the neurons fire. Now, the American psychologist and philosopher William James said that thoughts become perception. People have said that for years. Perception becomes a reality, right? Your thoughts become things. Your thoughts alter your reality. The world we live in quality and character is nothing but a reflection of what's in our minds. Consciousness creates form. That's what Joeaux talks about, right? Thoughts become things. Mike Dooley. But an even deeper concept is now they've proven that feelings become things. Now, what does all this say about the intuition? In 2021, researchers suggested that emotion and intuition are physically present in your gut, your abdomen. The gut is lined with a network of neurons and is actually called the second brain. In your body, the intuition tends to feel like a calm inner knowing. It's relaxed, and characterized by trust, knowing that it's not the end of the world if something doesn't work out. It's really much more growth-oriented in your body. So I would call that your first brain. It feels like a sense of expansion and openness. It is first registered, according to Roland McCrathie, who is a heart math scientist. It's originally, and this was in 2019, it was first registered in the heart and then led up to the brain and emotional prefrontal cortex, and where we logically then relate to what we're intuiting. Then finally down into the gut where something stirs. Well, there's 3 parts to this, and what science has discovered since 2020 is that it's a little different order. There are 3 parts of our body that control our intuition. Our brain, yes. Our heart, yes. And the primary is our gut. I had to Google gut because I was never allowed to say it, so I had to make sure I was talking about the right body parts. The GI tract is considered your gut, a series of hollow organs joined in a long twisting tube from mouth to your anus. The hollow organ that comprises the GI tract, the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the intestine, the large intestine, and your anus. Those are the hollow organs. Or the liver, the pancreas, and gallbladder are solid organs in the digestive system, and they're all housed in what we call the abdomen or the gut. It is interesting when you think about the gut being in the mouth, but many times when you have an intuitive thought, you may feel sensations in several parts of your body. And actually, the first electrical impulse or synapsis starts somewhere in your abdomen. That was news to me. It's an amazing mechanism, this human body. You actually have 3 brains, triple your pleasure, right? The cephalic brain has 80, this is going to be real scientific, so I'm going to read a lot of facts, okay? It has 80 billion neurons. 80 billion. Actually, 86 billion. It's the seat of your language, your cognition, your consciousness, creativity. It recognizes and gives meaning or words to your own narratives. I think, I understand, I reckon. Your cardiac brain, your heart, has 20 to 40,000 neurons that can operate independently from the head brain. They handle emotions, processing, expression, values, interpersonal connections. I feel, I have a heavy heart, or I have a light heart. That's where your heart brain is. The enteric brain, that's the one that surprised me. That is the brain that's in your gut. It has 500 million neurons. 500 million. It controls self-preservation and mobilization. It responds to challenges or opposition or danger. It determines the core sense of self. It takes guts to do something. You might say, my gut tells me that I should or shouldn't do this. The gut or abdomen will actually move toward food instinctively or move away from danger instinctively. I mean, it's wild. Did you know that when you were an itty bitty teeny tiny baby, I mean 5 to 7 weeks in your mother's womb, that the brain starts to develop, and within days or minutes, the abdomen starts to develop as well. So the two are almost simultaneous, and it's exactly the same tissue in the brain as it is in the gut. I mean, the same tissue lining the brain is the exact same tissue lining your gut or abdomen, depending on who you are. I mean, I found that totally surprising. That's why science is now measuring your own internal GPS as your gut reaction, because there's an electrical current that happens with that very first gut reaction as your GPS. So instead of global positioning system, which is GPS, your GPS could actually be gut positioning system. But, truly, I am marveling at the human body. Who thought this all up? Does GPS really stand for, instead of global, God's positioning system? I mean, that's what connects your internal guidance to your external world, right? We as humans are trained to ignore our innate mechanism of intuition at a very young age. It's not as drastic as it used to be. Yes, people are beginning to awaken to the fact that there's much more out there to understand about the human body, meaning that just how our intuition works and how we can develop it further. When you have that gut reaction, first comes trust. You have to trust it. You get to feel, sense it, and then respond to it. I mean, researchers have shown that when you have an intuitive feeling, that electrical synapses comes in the abdomen, moves through the heart, which amplifies it, and then is identified in the brain. It's brilliant. We simply have to learn to trust that feeling. I mean, and it's a matter of trusting the mechanism that God is placed in our system. Just like your phone carries a software program for your global positioning system, it's God's positioning system that activates in your own personal innate intuition. Science has shown that people touch their abdomen when they have a feeling of danger or a feeling of some other kind of guidance. I've started paying attention to that, and I've noticed that it's very true. This is amplified through the heart and interpreted in the brain when words are added. So what we teach is a kind of a GPS for your soul, right? Guidance that identifies where you are now, presently, and then through those electrical frequencies or neural pathways, that electrical current is carried through the body until the brain says yes or no or puts other words to it. The challenge is that many times the brain is like a Xerox machine and only spits out or responds in a way that is created in the past. The abdomen and the heart, however, are much more present in the moment. Now, how do you blend these two together? Practice. How do you blend all three together? Practice. First, meditate or pray, whatever you call getting still enough to feel your internal GPS. Test it with small things. I mean, 2 days ago, all day long, I had this uneasy feeling in my stomach, like I was missing something. I clearly heard, check your calendar. I was busy doing other things, so my brain said, oh, I'll check it later. I don't have anything scheduled for today. I know I don't. I got the feeling again in my stomach. Still, I ignored it. Then I thought, check your calendar. Still, I said, oh, I'll do it in a minute. Well, that evening, I finally checked my calendar and realized that I missed an appointment to get my hair cut. If I would have listened to my gut reaction the first time, I would have shorter hair today. Gina is going to kill me. I mean, I missed my appointment. Why? Because I didn't trust my gut feeling. My brain's interpretation said, oh, you could do it later. Check your calendar. Adironda says, trust, 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 trust. But we have to be the ones that still learn to follow that GPS for your soul. So for a time, try trusting your energy. Trust your connection. When you get the feeling inside, follow it. Then analyze truly where you feel it or where you sense it. I always thought I saw the energy in my first response. When I took the test that we do in How to Channel class, I found I was a sensor and an audio receiver. Now, since I've been doing the research for the Academy, I'm discovering, much to my dismay, that the feeling actually starts, guess where? In my gut. And then it moves to my heart and then travels to my physical brain for interpretation. It's like when the master Randy Luna plays, he doesn't question it. He just plays. He knows intuitively the thoughts or feelings that come from his gut through his heart to the brain and out his fingers. I hope I didn't make him self-conscious because now we're all going to be watching him, right? When he plays in just a few minutes, we're going to watch how he plays and what he does and what he feels like and see if we can see the GPS for his soul as we see the GPS for our soul. And we find that direction when we move through the encodement in the notes from his intuition. It's the same with you and your gut intuition. You trusted it as a baby, and now you can trust it more completely as an adult. After all, your own personal GPS for your soul is never wrong. Pay attention while we listen to the Master Randy Luna, and then we'll see what Adironda has to say about activating your own internal God's positioning system. So it is good day to you, huh? It is very good to connect with you and you and you and you. And in that energy, we see you and we see your brilliance. And some of you are going, what did they just say? What did the vessel Marilyn just say? Because you see, she got into that little science thing. And she, every time we felt it when we were with her, every time she said that word, gut, she had that little catch in her energy. Well, you know what you do with that? You just go right over it. Gut, 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 gut. Ha ha. The Carol mentioned that earlier, and we thought, that is right. Gut, gut, gut. Because your gut is a part of your body. And you can't deny that that is a part of your body. And it is much easier to say than abdomen, abdomen, abdomen. It is easier than stomach, 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 because the abdomen is the housing energy, which is your gut. The stomach is inside that. So in actuality, the vessel Marilyn's mother was not quite accurate in her rule of not to say that energy. So as you understand that things are shifting and changing around, because scientists are being divinely guided now, and they are developing equipment that can indeed measure the frequency that a body puts out. That, dearest, take a deep breath, is galactic technology. The galactics are influencing the scientists, or God is influencing the scientists. For you see, that energy as it comes through is coming in, so we are learning more and more about how the human form reasons, how they instinctively know things, how they have what others would call an animal instinct in a human. They are animals after all. Some seem to be maybe looking like they're a bit more animalistic than others, but that is, again, a judgment call. So as you understand, when you are connecting with your intuitive voice, know that that comes to you directly from Source, from God. If you have a difficult time with the word God, try good, orderly direction, G period, O period, D period, God, good, orderly direction. Or you could just get over it. God, 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 God. You understand what we say? All those are interpretations in your brain, which is based upon something in your past. Your gut and your heart are in the present world. In other words, when you were running from a saber-toothed tiger, that is a very immediate response in your center of your body. Nowadays, you don't run from a saber-toothed tiger. You may get the feeling to check your calendar or not check your calendar, but it is not a danger point, although sometimes you do get danger warnings. Those warnings happen first in the center of your body. That intuition of, I need to do this, or I would like to do this, or I'm going to do this, that intuition still happens first in the center of your body. So, dearest beings of light, understand that you, as humans, are deeply complex. You create your reality. That is why it's called GPS for the soul. You are positioning yourself as God's positioning system. You know where you are. You are here. And you have a feeling in your heart or your gut as to where you want to be. Your gut reaction or your intuition will lead you through the pathway to get there. You know, we have always said that there's two different ways you can achieve that. One is the scenic route, and one is the direct route. Both are perfect. One takes you through the hills and vales and all around the energy, and one takes you from point A to point B. Either one is perfect. And as you understand, that trust of that intuition is exactly about creating the world that you already are experiencing. Every feeling that you have in your gut can become a reality. Every feeling that you have in your heart is being amplified by that organ. So trust that energy. We know, trust. Why do we have to keep telling you this? Well, dearest, the reason is because your habit that you learned as a small child is not to trust your own internal mechanism. You turn your power over to the adults in your world. You turn your power over to the teachers in your world. You turn your power over to others. And you begin to trust, and you go out of the habit of trusting that internal mechanism, your internal GPS. Now, we know sometimes it is difficult to sit in a classroom and say, you know, my gut reaction is not to do this assignment. And then you play the game of doing the assignment and you go back and forth with the teacher. There are points of authority, just as the Master Yeshua did. You know, lean to the law of the land and follow your own guidance. So in that energy, you are following your own guidance under the laws of the land. And to know that your internal GPS, your internal God's positioning system for your soul will never steer you wrong. You just get the opportunity to learn to trust. And let go of your old programming, which tells you you can't do this, can't say that, and acknowledge that that response to your world is a part of the divine mechanism called the human, which you are. And we love you. We love you so much. We came from a great distance away to communicate through this little round vessel that you call Marilyn, to see you and help you realize that your GPS has never left you. It is right there in your center to be amplified through your heart and to take action from your brain. Pretty exciting, isn't it? We honor you. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.